how can this be complicated? What am I doing to make it complicated? I want to buy a pair of books, right? And the question I have is whether it's more economic or in some other way better to buy them on Apple Books or Kindle or, I suppose, paperback. There is an answer, and I'm actually not very keen on it. But all I really wanted was to be able to tell you, very short 58 Keys episode, I don't know, Kindle is always 10% cheaper than Apple Books, or the other way around, or something factual, something straight like that. Instead, I looked up some books, and one of the books I was looking at ranges in price from $9.19 on Apple Books to $590 in hardback. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which as always is for writers like you and me who use and write on Macs and iPhones and iPads and all of this stuff, but we're writers, so we read, don't we? Do subscribe or support 58 Keys on Patreon, because, well, there's so much talk about writing. I wouldn't have thought there was so much to say about writing, we just enjoy it, but actually, I tell you what, for once, you could skip all of this and just go buy the books, right? That's the thing I'm really recommending. Here they are. Ted Chiang's 2 collections of short stories. The first of those there is Stories of Your Life and Others, which I think actually sounds like a rubbish title until you've read the book, and then, wow. And the second one is Exhalation. One of the short stories in the first books is what became the film Arrival, by the way. And I don't know if that's even the best of his short stories. Yeah. Anyway, 2 books, some 8 or 9 stories in each, and you will never forget any of them. That could be the most useful thing this 58 Keys does. But, okay, before you can never forget them, we have to get them. So, let's start with just money. This is how this shakes out. I even made a spreadsheet. Have a look. All of that, and the answer is, if you're in the UK, Kindle and Apple Books cost the same. At least in this one example. If you're in the US, Apple Books tends to be $1 or maybe $1, maybe $2 more expensive again in this example, but also everything I was looking at. Also, actually, I thought I was being clever picking just 2 books, because with one, well, actually, you never know this. It might happen to be really popular today as the price has gone up. And yet, strange things happen with book pricing, and they are with one of these. Stories of Your Life, something weird, like the changing publisher. I don't know. Strange things were happening. Okay. But there's that bit in the spreadsheet, the note that I found you can buy. Well, it turned out it was a corrected proof version of Stories of Your Life and Others in hardback for $5.90. I've never had a proof copy that was in hardback. But there are times that any book price will go crazy because of the algorithms that online sellers use. I mean, normally it's each vendor trying to undercut everyone else by a penny, and so the price races to the bottom. Sometimes, and I truly don't understand why, it does go the other way, though. Particularly, you'll see this on auction sites. So actually, I have seen this on auction sites. I've seen one of my own books ultimately be offered for sale for over $1,000. It's nonsense, and nobody did it, but it felt great seeing that listing. Anyway, what with all of this, I think it's not possible now to make anything more than a very crude comparison between Kindle and Apple Books on price. In my example, let's stress this, in the UK, they're the same. Apple Books is fractionally more expensive in the States, but in either case, these are bargain prices for 2 astounding books. But if we need a winner, then on price, Kindle comes on top because it's the cheaper one in the States. I do think there's a lot more to this, though, a lot more than price. Such as, I mean, given that the price is really low, right, the issue that matters to me most is this: reading ebooks on Apple Books versus reading them on Kindle. I mean, this has to be subjective, I mean, very subjective. I don't believe it's possible to look at a page of a book in Kindle and think that it's better or even just as good as it looks in Apple Books. No question, to me, it's a greater pleasure reading books on Apple Books than Kindle. I mean, the typography looks great to me, the refreshing of the page, the layout of the page. I think Apple Books has it all the way. There's more to this, though. Again, with that phrase, such as this. Sometimes you simply cannot get a book on Apple Books. Whereas, if there is any ebook for a title at all, it is on Amazon Kindle. I'm reading The Power Brokers by Robert Caro, 1,000-page, tiny font. It would be so handy to have this as an ebook. Hang on, I've got to put that down. But there isn't one. Don't know why. Nonetheless, while I can't figure out any figures to give you a sense of proportions, the absolute truth is that Kindle and Amazon have more ebooks than Apple Books. There's more to this, though, and I promise you, I think that's the last time I'm going to say it. Because to me, there's just one issue left, but it is a big one. Okay, you and I, we've talked about the price of ebooks. Very low, not a lot of difference. We've talked about how they look on screen. Very subjective. What we haven't covered are which screens you can look at them on. Apple Books can be read on the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. I suppose you could AirPlay it to your TV, maybe. Kindle books can be read on the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. And actually, the Mac Kindle app was given a pretty solid update a few months ago now. But Kindle books can also be read on Kindles. I mean, actual, hardware. This is a Kindle Paperwhite, and there are many hardware Kindles made by Amazon, and actually there's more even. There are other devices like the Note Air 2, which I rather like. It's meant for writing, but it's actually an Android device, which means there's a Kindle app for all Android phones and tablets that it can use. So, in short, you can read Kindle books on more devices, many, many more devices than you can Apple Books. But I am actually shocked at how poor Kindle hardware is. I mean, I was trying to fix a Paperwhite last week, Kindle Paperwhite. I was trying to fix it last year. I was taking it apart. I was actually seeing how slapped together the innards are. And I was learning from various Kindle repair sites that Amazon uses the cheapest components it can, and you can tell. They also told me, it wasn't possible to repair that particular Kindle I was working on. And it wasn't that it was just more economic to buy a replacement, which it was. It was that you could not fix that heap of junk. Compare that to an iPad and, night, day, all of that. I mean, I wouldn't try to repair an iPad, but they are simply gorgeously designed and made, which means they will last longer. And they're also more of a pleasure to hold and to use right now. Actually, I gave my original iPad Air from 2013 to someone a while back, and last weekend I was at theirs. They've broken it. I don't know how you would go about breaking an iPad if you wanted to, not in the way they have, but I actually found that upsetting. The carelessness of it, the work that went into that device, the money I spent on it. Anyway, I think I'm sounding like I'm saying nuts to any price difference for books, and Apple Books is best, and I suppose by implication I'm also saying nuts to the price difference in devices, iPad versus Kindle. As I record this, the cheapest you can buy any iPad, at least from Apple, and excluding second-hand or refurbished ones or anything like that, it's $329 or £369. If this Kindle Paperwhite breaks, like the last one, and I have to replace it, well then today that would cost me $170 or £160. Kindle's complicated though. There are models with different storage capacities, but at times not all of those are available. There are also ways to buy it cheaper if you accept ads every time you open. Don't do that to yourself. And this, I'm thinking here of the Kindle Paperwhite. I do believe that's the best of the Kindle range for how it looks, for how books are displayed on it, and for the size and things when you're reading and holding. But you could go cheaper. You could buy what's just called a Kindle. It's a great name, Kindle, isn't it? I wish I knew I thought of it. At the moment, a Kindle costs £95 or $120 without ads. So, the books themselves are either the same price or a bit cheaper on Kindle than on Apple Books, and the Kindle devices are much cheaper than iPads. It's an easy decision. But I already have an iPad. I don't need to buy a new one to read the next series of books I want to watch, I want to read. And for the longest time, I would read on my iPad, and that meant reading Apple Books because it's there and because I prefer them. I prefer them so much that it's worth the odd extra dollar when it comes up. Until I bought a Kindle Paperwhite. So here's where I've got to, and of course your mileage may vary, but for what it's worth, having that little thing that I can slip in my back pocket and have ready whenever I suddenly get a minute to read. You know, you're in a good book, you've got a few minutes, yes, good excuse. The size and the lightness of it, and that access to so many books instantly, and that lack of access to other apps, notifications, distractions of any kind. I do now read more on this Kindle Paperwhite of mine than I do on my iPad Pro. And you hear my voice hesitate. It kind of leaves me torn because I actually got so many books on both. And there's a bit of neatness in me that would like to have everything in one place, like on one shelf or something. But there's a bit of me that gets fed up with the confusion. I mean, I wanted to show you 2 books that I have read and that I have relished, but are my copies on Kindle or are they on Apple Books? I had to go looking and searching the libraries and downloading to find it. But while I did, there's one more step. Did I say one more step? Yeah, I did actually buy both books again, and this time I did it in paperback. And all I can say is thank you. I told myself I was buying them to show you, so you are my excuse for these books that I utterly, utterly adore. In fact, actually, if you're the one that I loaned my Stories of My Life book to, go ahead and keep it. If it wasn't you, go buy them both. So it's up to you what form you get them in. Yes, so good. Listen, that's it. I'm off to you can see I'm off to review the books right now and also finish that massive Power Brokers one. It's absolutely riveting. I'm only 70 pages in and there's a 930 odd to go. Love that book. But in the meantime, that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Now, read more, write more, take care of yourself. Reading and writing are really important for taking care of ourselves, and you need to do more of it, don't you? Do that, and I'll see you soon.